Volume 1 Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 Area 3 Number 47. Chi, who do you think you are? Letting him retire is for his sake. What else can he do? Right. As tactful as he is, he wouldn't think to blame the club for retiring him. Yi Chu and Su Mucheng left. Everyone else in the conference room suddenly recovered and began mocking him again. But Sun Qian's expression was mixed. He did not participate and moved closer to the manager instead. I don't understand. How could he have accepted these conditions? He had no other choice but to accept. The manager said. Why? Because he can't pay the penalty fee. The manager said. How can that be? Sun Xiang was stunned. Yi Chu had worked hard as a professional gamer for 7 years and was also at the peak. Even if he had refused all business-related matters, his salary shouldn't have been so low that he would be unable to pay for the penalty fee. You weren't in that generation, so you wouldn't know. In the Alliance's initial stages, the Alliance Pro players were nowhere near as impressive as now. At that time, the pro players that had been fired ended up in terrible situations. Most of the youth had been used up on gaming. But none of them were skilled enough and most of them fell into dire financial straits. Yi Chu was that era's genius and we relied on his achievements to get to where we are today. But he had a lot of friends like that. So what you're saying is that most of his assets were given to those friends? Sun Zhang's eyes widened. Right. Then if he needed the money, why would he refuse to accept business activities? Sun Xiang asked. No one knows the reason for this. The manager said. You don't have any guesses? Sun Xiang asked. It might have something to do with his family. The manager said. No one knows anything about his family. He also never talks about them. It's very strange, which is why I suspected. The manager said. This person has a lot of stories. Sun Xiang lifted up the one autumn leaf card that Yi Chu gave him. He knew that Yi Chu had made this account long before the professional alliance had been created. Used all the way up until now, this card was one of Glory's oldest accounts. Okay, let's not talk about him anymore. The boss is busy today and can't come. But he gave me this bottle of aged red wine from his collection just for your welcoming. The manager said. Thank you very much. With me, excellent era will shine once again. Yi Chu left. Su Mucheng stood in front of the club's entrance. She stood like this until Yi Chu disappeared into the distance. He repeatedly turned around to wave his hand. Tears had already begun streaming down Su Mucheng's cheeks long ago. Without saying too much, Yi Chu said a total of 8 words, I'll rest a year and then come back. Su Mucheng did not say another word. She only nodded her head again and again. She was no longer that innocent young girl and had already assumed a lot of responsibilities alone. Snowflakes floated in the air. This winter was very cold. Snowing. When Yi Chu left the club, he hadn't thought of the next step. Having grown accustomed to a lifestyle for so many years, he had not yet adapted to the sudden change yet. He wanted to walk along like this until his thoughts cleared. Who knew that the weather wouldn't give him this opportunity? At this moment, snow began to fall. Moreover, more and more fell as time went on. Flying snowflakes quickly hit him, wetting his shoulders. Icicles also formed on his head. If he didn't take shelter, he would die. Yi Chu looked around left and right and saw an internet cafe along the road. The lights were still brightly lit this late at night and he dashed towards it at once. The internet cafe was nice and warm. Yi Chu burst in and shook the snowflakes off of his body and went up to the reception desk. Area 3 Number 47. The young lady at the reception desk informed him of an open computer. She soon handed over an ID card to boot up the computer only to see that he had already left. The young lady didn't fuss over it. This type of matter evidently happened quite often. She silently put away the ID card knowing that he would have to come back to get it. Area 3 Number 47, Yi Chu followed the signs searching. This internet cafe wasn't small. There were many computers and there was even a second floor. Area 3, Yi Chu saw the area number on the ceiling. It looked like he didn't need to go up to the second floor. Once he counted to number 47, Yi Chu became startled. This station had already been taken by a woman. Moreover, she was playing glory. She was currently in the arena dueling. Her fierce movements caused the ponytail bunched up high on her head to sway. Facing towards her, he saw her controlling a launcher. Yi Chu blanked. He almost thought that Su Mucheng was sitting there. But he quickly realized that it wasn't her. Su Mucheng was always gentle and serene. Even during an intense PK confrontation, she always held a smile. Speaking about her, Yi Chu sometimes watched as she smiled while causing her opponents to explode into pieces. When she then politely said sorry, he would always inexplicably tremble a bit. As for this girl, her appearance was also beautiful and gentle. But she fumed with rage and devastated her keyboard in an all-out effort, making him feel that her appearance from top to bottom was a huge trap. Her murderous spirit is too scary. Only what a pity. Yi Chu saw the screen clearly. He saw that this girl was about to be in a terrible situation. As expected, her opponent capitalized on the opportunity as soon as she made a mistake. In 2 hits, what little life remaining immediately drained all at once. D*****. Yi Chu heard this girl roar in rage. She slammed the keyboard, directly shutting down the game. Yi Chu hesitated on whether he still wanted the station or not. The girl already turned her head, glancing at the hesitant Yi Chu. Furiously getting up, she asked, "Computer?" Yi Chu nodded his head. "Then sit down." The girl had already left. Yi Chu shook his head at the impatience of ordinary gamers and finally sat down. Chen Guo was depressed, extremely depressed. She had just dueled 52 times in the arena, but she hadn't won a single one. She didn't want to believe this was real. Chen Guo rubbed the chasing haze in her pocket. Her account wasn't bad. Among ordinary players, her account would be considered quite strong and her skill level wasn't low. She had played glory for a full 5 years. Her opponent's account wasn't as good as hers, but she still couldn't win over him a single time over 52 duels. He's a powerful expert, Chen Guo concluded. Boss, you haven't logged out yet. Why is that person playing? Chen Guo was thinking as she walked, when a voice suddenly interrupted. Chen Guo tilted her head and looked. At the neighboring computer, a frequent customer at the internet cafe was stretching out his neck looking at the computer she had just sat at. Not good. Chen Guo's heart dropped as she rushed back. Due to Glory's popularity, Glory login devices became standard computer accessories that were indispensable for internet cafes. Account cards only needed to be inserted into the device, so in these sort of public places, everyone put away the cards after using them. Every card only had one account. Lost cards could be reported, so stealing did not exist. But in these sort of public places, frequently, people would carelessly forget to log out and end up having their money and equipment looted. Chen Guo had been extremely frustrated after 52 straight losses and wasn't paying attention. She hadn't logged out, but switched to the desktop instead. Chen Guo hurriedly ran up and sure enough, that guy really was playing on her account. Only it didn't look like he was stealing equipment, it looked like he was eagerly dueling in the arena. Chen Guo didn't have time to bellow in rage when a single large word popped up on the screen.